And can you tell us a little bit about the frequency of first contact? Like, you've helped us understand that human beings operate at different frequency ranges,
Yes.
and that the higher frequency states tend to be between 175,000 and up to about...
Yes. Open contact will require a stable frequency above 200,000 cycles per second.
Really? Yes.
Yes.
So are you saying the vast majority of people on the planet, as it stands now, would not experience first contact?
Correct.
And
at least not yet in their reality, in their version of Earth. They may change and experience it later on, but again, we are not expecting the idea, due to the probabilities of choices that you have on your planet, the vast majority that exists now, to be the majority that will exist during open contact. Those that shift to the other Earth will join those already there, already existing in that alternate reality, and they will form a new majority. But the majority of the individuals on your planet now, as you understand it, on the version of Earth you experience now, will not experience contact with us in the way that you understand that concept. They may experience other things.
When you say contact with you, are you talking about the Sasani beings, or are you talking about Pleiadian and other
There is
species?
a range. There is a range. Some may experience every variation you can imagine. Some will not experience us at all.
So if you're on the Earth now where you can see the other realities, the negative ones that are happening on the planet, but you're seeing it through the glass wall in that sense, will that be the case for those who experience contact, where they can see so many divergent realities?
Some may be capable. For some, it will simply not be relevant for them to perceive it that way. It depends on the individual and the theme that they are exploring and what they will do with that.
Do you expect then that large segments of the population would literally disappear from the reality of those that are going to have contact?
Yes.
Okay, and so that would not necessarily, how would that occur? How would that occur?
You are constantly shifting, remember.
Yes.
It may not actually be such a big mystery. The idea would be, just like sometimes you have contact with individuals you call friends, and then sometimes years later you simply find that you haven't seen them for quite a while, and you don't necessarily think anything of it. You just imagine they have gone on to their own path, and that your paths will not necessarily cross again. You may have different ideas about what that experience will be like, but it won't necessarily be a mystery for many. It'll simply be like people have simply left your life, have gone out of your life. Some may appear to have died, but some may simply not be around for so long that you simply don't think about them anymore, or you wonder where they went, but never encounter them again.
So I would imagine it's not an accident that we're simultaneously going through massive climate change and potentially a massive extinction event in coordination
Not
with
going to be talking about anything in the way of a prediction, but yes, such things are possible with the shifts going on, because again, you're shifting through versions of Earth. So you may experience a variety of things that are all representative of the splitting prism, until you make decisions to align with a particular timeline or path and other versions of Earth that will take you in a different direction.
Well, this will probably make more sense to us as we become more and more used to the level of plasticity, where the Earth can shift a great deal, our realities can shift a great deal. And some of the skills that we're learning right now are how to navigate changing realities that may let you feel unmoored or not as grounded to a specific reality.
Yes, temporarily, but it will become a normal state for you, a state you will get used to in the constant idea of shifting, because the more you understand that you are projecting and creating your physical reality, the less you will rely on the idea of stasis as a representation of stability, and the more you will feel comfortable with the idea that change is truly what is stable.
So that would figure into the idea that many humans do not enjoy change, or they believe that change is uncomfortable, fearful, creates anxiety.
Yes.
Those kinds of things is, in a sense, a skill set that we're learning, is how to be in physical reality, or as physical reality, with greater amounts of change and seemingly unmoored realities without having getting panicky.
It is not getting used to more change. It is getting used to the idea that you're constantly changing.
Because you mentioned when you're in spirit, you can navigate change quite easily.
Yes.
It's the natural flow. You're always experiencing the next chapter, in a sense.
And you are doing so even in physical reality, since that's nothing but a projection of consciousness. Again, it's just that most people on your planet are not aware of it because of the agreement you made to experience the idea of linear time and continuity. But once you accept the idea that you're constantly shifting billions of times per second, you can get used to that idea and form a new understanding and relationship with the idea of change as stability.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was going to ask you if you could give me a tip on identifying negative beliefs. I seem to be having a...
All right. Well, that's easily done. If you are having or are aware of the fact that you have a negative belief, then identifying it simply is the process of acknowledging it and actually amplifying it and asking the question, what am I absolutely terrified might happen if I actually became who I prefer to be? What's the answer?
What am I terrified of?
Yes. What are you afraid will happen if you allow yourself to move forward in the way that you would prefer to?
Well, see, that's why I don't understand. That's why I seem to be confused, because I know all the stuff.
No, you don't, obviously.
Well, I know that it's...
You have an intellectual comprehension of it, but to know something means it's in your behavior.
Right.
Knowledge and behavior are synonymous. If I asked you to walk across the room, you wouldn't hesitate. You would just walk because you know how to do that. That's in your behavior. That's what you know you are capable of. If it's not in your behavior, you don't know it. You just have an intellectual comprehension of it.
Okay, so how can I instill...
Let's go back to the idea. I'll ask the question in a different way. Are you acting on your highest excitement every moment that you possibly can with zero insistence on a particular outcome? Yes or no?
Yes, except for when I'm not.
All right. You don't have to be clever about it, because obviously we wouldn't be having this conversation if the answer was yes all the time, correct?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Therefore, when I asked you if you were doing that, you could say not all the time.
Right.
And that's what we're addressing. Yes?
Yes.
So can you give us an example of a time when you're not?
When I'm not acting on my highest joy, when I'm fighting with somebody or...
Why are you fighting?
Problems. That's the whole thing, is I don't even know. It seems like
come on.
It seems like I create problems.
Yes.
And then later I can't even figure out why.
What are you afraid of will happen? What are you afraid will happen? The moment that you start fighting, you're afraid of something. You're afraid you won't get something that you need.
Somebody, losing
something. All right. Is that the fear?
Yeah, I think so, maybe.
All right. So why are you afraid you will lose something?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Of course you do. What will happen if in your mind something is lost? And can you be more specific about what it is you're afraid of losing?
Well, I was just thinking of having a fight with my girlfriend over the craziest, stupidest stuff.
Yes, but you understand that the reason it's, in your words, the craziest, stupidest stuff is because you're still focused on the surface and you get triggered by simple things because there's a deeper issue. There's a deeper fear.
Right.
Many times when people on your planet fight, they're not actually fighting about the things they're fighting about. Those are just surface excuses to let people know that there is something deeper going on within you that you're afraid to look at. But when you are not afraid to look at it and bring it to the surface, then you can deal with the real issue. So what's the real issue? What are you really afraid of? When suddenly you feel that you're triggered and that your response has to be that you're fighting, what are you really deeply afraid will happen?
Honestly, I don't know. That's why I'm coming to you, hoping you can get it out of me.
You do. All right. Well, we'll pull harder if you want us to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm here for, I want,
I
real
understand.
solutions. I'm not just beating around.
I understand. But it's not so much that you want solutions. What you need are processes.
Okay.
And again, the idea is you need honest self-investigation, first and foremost. You have to be willing to dig down deep and not be afraid to be afraid. That's the first step. It has to be okay that you're afraid. You can't gloss it over. You can't be in denial about it. You may have a negative belief system that actually generates extremely deep fear within you. And you have to dig down and find out what this is. You can't be afraid to be afraid. You can't be afraid to find it. But I will tell you a little secret.
Okay.
When people find that they have this so-called deep fear and they say, well, I just don't know what it is, it's generally because they have a belief, probably an unconscious belief, that if they actually did dig down and find out what it is, they're afraid that they might discover that it's actually true.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
That you'll discover something truly negative about yourself that is absolutely the truth. That you are either unworthy, undeserving, inconsequential. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And it is usually those issues that people on your planet avoid looking at because they are afraid that if they look at that, they will realize it is true. The secret is it can never be true. Ever. You can create the illusion and the experience that it's true, but it can never be true that you are unworthy. It can never be true that you are undeserving of joy. It can never, ever, ever be true that you don't belong. Never. It can never be true that you have nothing to give. It can never be true. Because if it was true, you wouldn't exist. Because creation doesn't make mistakes. Do you follow me so far?
Yes.
So, what's the difference? Let me ask the question this way. Maybe this will provide a little bit of illumination for you. You say there are times when you feel that you are capable of acting on your excitement and none of the fears are triggered. Yes?
Yes.
So the question is, what difference are you making between the times when that is true and the times that it's not? What difference are you making in the different circumstances? How are you defining this circumstance as so different from this one that you can experience joy here but fear here? What's your definitional difference in those circumstances? That's the question to ask yourself when you feel that, when you start to feel triggered. How am I defining this circumstance as being different than the one where I experience joy and I'm not reacting negatively to it? How am I seeing these things differently? That's what you need to explore. That's the process you need to go through to find out what your definition is that's generating the fear and generating the anger and triggering you to fight.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Now, you don't have to answer that right here and right now if you don't wish to, but you can. It's up to you.
Well, I think that maybe was the challenge, or what I was looking at as being a problem was not seeing it that way. I didn't actually ever look at it as the difference between when I was acting on my joy and when I wasn't, and looking at the difference. I was always just trying to figure out what negative belief do I have that is tripping me up.
But this is a way to find out what the negative belief is by making a comparative difference. Because obviously, if you are experiencing your joy, you have a very different definition about your relationship to that circumstance than you have about your relationship to this circumstance. Yes?
Yes.
So if you can find out what the difference in your definition is, you will find the negative belief.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Bashar.
Anything
Appreciate
else?
it. No, I think that's it.
All right. So go ahead and have fun But the idea also is listen to how you speak. I'm not saying you have to walk on eggshells with your language, but very often you will find that your negative definitions will actually automatically come out in your speech.
Yeah.
Because when you say, I have a problem,
Right.
well, what can you do with a problem? Nothing. But if you say, well, I have an opportunity here, I have a challenge here, then you're back in charge. You can do something about that in a positive way, yes?
Yes.
So pay attention to the fact that you're automatically giving certain kinds of definitions to situations and circumstances and your relationship to them that don't necessarily serve you in the most positive way. So pay attention to how you're framing things and use the process of understanding the difference in your relationship to different situations. The negative belief will reveal itself if you're willing to hear the answer.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My name is Alexander. Pleasure to meet you. I've had this weird experience that I now have been learning from one of my guides and teachers that they believe that I met my past incarnation in this life, and it caused me to experience a massive expansion in consciousness as a result. And now I look back at my life, I look back at experiences, and like I don't remember them the same anymore. And because when I bounce them off people like family members, they're telling me a different experience that I remember, and it's making me feel like I'm going crazy. But my question is, I've been having these high rises of consciousness where I'm super present, super aware, super there, and then it just drifts away, and then I become like unconscious again. And I wonder how your species, how your kind has dealt with this while they've been like let's say you're born, as a different species, another race, wherever, and your kind is more evolved than our kind. So how would you guys have been teaching your younger species how to deal with the waves of coming and going of presence? I'd really like a tool for that, if that's okay.
Well, first of all, the idea is that you're opening up to being able to experience the concept of parallel realities more concretely, because past isn't really past, it's just another parallel reality that exists simultaneously with what you consider your present focus to be. So the idea is that you're opening up to being able to experience parallel realities. You'll get used to it. Don't worry about it. Move forward in your life by following the formula. Synchronicity will start arranging things in a way that will make sense in terms of what it is you're tapping into in a parallel reality and how you can use the information that you're tapping into to download it in a way you can apply it in your present life, in your present focus, in a way that benefits you. But you have to be okay with understanding that as you expand your consciousness, you're going to suddenly be aware of all sorts of parallel realities that you're connecting to because you are a greater being that covers more than one reality. So it's just part of the symptoms of expanding your consciousness in this day and age. Allow yourself to follow the formula to allow synchronicity to organize this in a way that you can use it in a practical sense in your physical incarnational experience.
Good day, Bashar. Very excited to meet with you. I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
It is our passion and our pleasure to interact with you as well. What would you like to discuss?
Well, there are several things. Obviously, first of all, you and I seem to have a similar sense of humor, and I have wondered what role a sense of humor has in the achieving and maintaining a higher vibrational state.
Well, humor is a higher vibrational state because humor fundamentally is an ability to form unexpected associations, unexpected connections to things that people might not ordinarily make connections to. So it is an expansion of your ability to holographically see how things are more connected and to express those connections in what might be considered an unusual way that opens people up to different perspectives.
Very good. I just know that you and I are very similar in that sense. I almost feel like we have met sometime in the past or have existed.
Well, you do have connections to our general frequency, and therefore it feels familiar to you. Yes.
Yes. All right. Secondly,
Yes.
one of my higher flow states that I achieve has been in sports, in participating in sports.
All
Do the
right.
do the Essassani have anything equivalent to that? Any
Well,
sort of
yes, we have games and you might call them sports, but it's not in competition with each other. It's in competition with ourselves.
Okay, well, yes, that's pretty much my attitude. I do like to quote to win or be victorious, but at the same time, I'm more concerned about how well I perform to a level that I think I should be.
Yes, and in that context, everything that we experience is a win. There is no
Right.
winning and losing in our society. There is, what did you learn in that experience? And if you learned something and you grew, that's a win. So even though there may be collective involvement, we're all there synchronistically to allow each other to experience our own individual wins, our individual growth in how we experience that particular exercise.
Okay. Delving into extraterrestrial races, if that's okay.
Yes.
Are there any that are actually genetically equivalent to humans on Earth?
Well, very much closely genetically connected, like the Pleiadians, who are in a sense your distant cousins.
Right.
So, like that, yes, there are genetic connections between humans on Earth and different species. But after a point, it becomes very, very different, and many alien societies look nothing like you. But there are several that do, primarily not only just because of the morphogenetic fields that say this is a efficient form, so they look humanoid or human-like, even though they may not necessarily be directly genetically connected to you in the way that you think, but there are some that are actually truly genetically family.
Right. Okay. So they
Such as
have
us.
Have they populated the Earth at some point?
There have been times in the past where other societies have taken advantage of the Earth environment for a period of time. Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's part of the history that you don't know.
Right. Okay. And that will be revealed at some point.
Eventually, yes, after open contact.
Okay. Uh, Something I wonder about you specifically, how much do these sessions deplete you, or do they deplete you in any
No,
way?
of course not. Why would they deplete me? Why would I do it if they did?
Well, as a first contact specialist, that being your desired role,
Yes.
that doesn't necessarily mean it wouldn't necessarily have some impact on you per se, I guess.
Well, the impact it has is that it energizes us.
Okay.
It is what we love to do. And therefore, we are operating at a very high frequency, and at a high frequency, we are energized. It never depletes us because we are simply being a conduit for a higher frequency, passing through us, leaving us with energy. It doesn't take energy away from us. It supports us with a higher frequency energy.
Yes, I know. Well, I'm feeling energized just in this little discussion. So I can
All right.
imagine, I guess, that it has quite an impact on you in that case.
Yes.
I think that's going to be it.
All right.
I definitely appreciate your time and your dedication.
Again, the dedication is automatic when you are focused on what you love to do. So, we thank you. Aveo.
Aveo.
Good day.
Good day.
Hi, Bashar. Alicia here. I wanted to speak about an experience I had maybe 6 years ago relative to our time. And the experience is with Source itself, all that is. And I would describe it as very similar to the sun, but a white ball of energy. And I could imagine, I can still feel it almost being hit with, just fire. I felt like I was being burnt, but I knew it was unconditional love and acceptance. And I remember floating and, just telepathically speaking with Source. And not too long after that, I ended up just shutting the door, shutting off all from metaphysics, quantum mechanics, spirituality, and I just closed it off. And I want to understand why Source decided that would be the opportune moment for me to experience itself. And why, knowing that after experiencing, I would shut it off and completely close that door. And I want to understand what my purpose is, because I still am wanting to understand. And I feel like there's a block that is preventing me from doing so after already knowing and being exposed to a multitude of truths and itself.
Well, you were shown what you actually are, that you are Source, you come from Source. You are given the vibration to reach for through the challenges in your life. So you shut down the direct connection so that you could climb the ladder by going through and facing the challenges that would ultimately bring you back to being able to connect to that frequency again. But you were given the opportunity to know exactly what that frequency feels like, so that you have something to aim for and understand that that's where the challenges that you choose to transform in positive ways will ultimately take you if you keep transforming those challenges. Good day.
Thank you so much for this interaction, Bashar.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
So you've described both the physical body and the personality structure as being the prism through which our pure consciousness is filtered in order to create our physical reality experience.
Yes.
I was wondering, what is the difference then between the personality structure and the physical body?
Well, the personality structure is what determines what the physical body is going to be in terms of how it arranges its DNA components when it is laid out on the blueprint level. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
So the personality structure, the beliefs, thoughts, and emotions do that?
Yes, it's all woven into the structure of the genetics that will reinforce the belief system that is germane for that personality structure to have in order to face the challenges that the soul chose to face in that physical experience. So when the body is being formed, shall we say, when it's being patterned, when it is about to be born physically, the vibrations structure the DNA to structure the body, to incorporate the belief systems within that genetic structure, to incorporate it within the personality structure, so that that body will express itself, that personality will express itself in the way that is necessary for it to face the challenges it chose to face for the soul's growth. Does that make sense?
Yes. To some degree, it makes sense. I will need to absorb it a little more, but
All right.
so all of those. So it sounds like the beliefs part of the personality structure comes before anything else.
In the forming of the personality, yes, the belief systems have to be there. Now, there is some looseness to it at the beginning, and the looseness is crystallized and solidified over a brief period of time, over a few years, when the belief system is also willing to absorb belief systems from its surroundings, from its parents, its schooling, its society, so on and so forth, to complete the picture that that personality needs in order to face the challenges in the way it needs to face those challenges, to learn, to grow, and to have the experience it chose to have. So the genetics are arranged with some structure, but also arranged to allow for some belief systems from its environment to come in to complete the structure that it will then face as a physical persona growing up.
Okay, and so that's almost set in stone after a certain age?
Yes, somewhere around 7 years of age, 9 years of age, it becomes more crystallized, and now you are on the momentum, you're on the path of experiencing the challenges you chose to experience for your soul's growth.
Okay, but we're still able to change our beliefs. We've been told that we can.
But that's part of the process of the soul growing, is to learn how to do that.
Okay.
That's what you set yourself up to do. I'm going to impose these particular belief systems that I will have the opportunity to change. It is that process of change that allows the soul to discover something new and to grow. So you set yourself up with things that ideally you will be able to change.
I see. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. The next question I have is about as above, so below.
Yes.
You say everything in physical reality has a spirit version of itself.
First, yes.
Okay.
So in a sense, it's really more like anything in spirit has potentially a physical version if relevant. There are more things in spirit than there are on earth. As is in your text, there are more things in heaven than you imagine in your philosophy. So there are more things in spirit than you experience on earth, because not everything is relevant to experience in the physical way. But everything that is physical has a component in spirit first.
Okay. How would something like a disease that is in physical reality that we see the symptoms of, how would that look in spirit, for example?
As a pattern of energy that is, from your perspective, potentially discordant.
Okay, so there can be discordant things in spirit, anything.
Well, let me put it this way. It's like a blueprint. I'm going to have this experience of this disease, which is something that is representative of being out of balance with my core frequency. So as a blueprint, you may see it as something that looks like it's slightly shifted off of the center core essential frequency in a way that would cause a discordant harmonic between the two. Just to put it in energy terms.
Okay. Makes sense. All right. Now I have some questions about the social experiment.
Yes.
Now for the letter we sent out, it was
Yes.
it was signed the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Group.
Yes.
And I'm a member of that. I've been doing the steps, but I didn't consciously write the letter. I was just wondering who actually wrote it, and how did you use our consciousnesses in writing?
In exactly the same way that you are experiencing conversation with us now. We downloaded it to the channel, who then translated it into words on his computer.
Okay. So it's a reflection of our collective higher mind.
Always.
The letter. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's, I guess, how all the social experiment steps were created as well.
Yes, but it's also a reflection of something that allows us to observe the reactions of individuals who choose to participate.
Now, what will happen if people want to embellish the ID cards? Or
the degree to which that might be done, even though we are suggesting that it may not necessarily be done, will again tell us something about the way people perceive things, how they approach things, how they interact with things. And that's part of the reason for this social experiment, is not only for you to utilize these things to your own effect and your own advantage, but for us to observe what happens when you do them, when you align with it, or when you do something different than we suggested.
Okay. On that same general theme, I sent a letter out to one of my senators, and he suggested that I call someone who works under him, who's in charge of the space aspect of his work, I guess, and to talk about this subject with him. And I felt excited to do that, but then I thought maybe this is going out of the bounds of the social experiment, since it was connected to the letter. Do you have any guidance on that?
You may have a conversation. It depends on what the subject is. But again, you can also turn them on to the idea of the origin of that letter and let them discover things for themselves. But it's all right to have a conversation about subjects that are similar to what is covered in the letter.
Okay.
All we are basically saying is you don't necessarily have to explain what the social experiment is to them, but you can certainly discuss subjects that are contained within the idea of the social experiment, like the existence of extraterrestrial beings and the desire for disclosure and things like that.
Okay. And I can refer them to bashar.org for the
If they
official.
wish to understand the actual parameters involved in the social experiment, yes, that you don't have to explain. They can find that out for themselves. But you can certainly have discussions about subjects that are peripheral to what the letter is about.
Okay. What does a white flower symbolize to the collective consciousness of the Interstellar Alliance?
The opening of consciousness to higher vibrations, to higher light.
Okay. All right. Well, I thank you very much. I love you very much. And thank you so much for this interaction.
Our unconditional love to you as well. Aveo. Good day.
Okay.
Hello, Bashar and Darryl. My name is Medina. So my question is, I'm really curious what happens to children during this transformation. How are they handling this? What's happening during this shifting to this fifth dimensional Earth? Are they automatically shifting, or do they need to also work on themselves to get into higher frequency? Are they naturally in high frequency? I have two boys, 12 and 8, and I would love for us to be on the same frequency, and I always think about it. Even though I work on myself, my husband works on himself, and we try to help them as well, but they are kids. So please let me know everything is okay. Thank you.
Everything is okay. That's really all you need to focus on. Everyone has their own path. You will always all be together at some point, whether it's physically or not. You're going to a fourth density Earth. Fifth density is non-physical. You're tapping into fifth density energy to imbue it in your third density body so that you can experience a fourth density physical reality. Kids are very intuitive. They're very still connected more than a lot of adults to the idea of spirit. But of course, it's all about what path they have chosen, what themes they are exploring, and what they're picking up from the adults in their society as to how they are capable or not of dealing with what they face in life. So the more you are willing to be creative and imaginative, allowing them to discover for themselves their self-empowerment, what their passion is all about, to learn the things they need to learn to thrive in physical reality by adopting their excitement to those lessons, rather than diminishing their excitement to learn those things, then ultimately you will have to know that they will be okay. And when and where it is important and relevant for you to be together, you will be together. So we would simply suggest that you don't worry about it, because that's a negative vibration that will actually cause things to take longer for you to experience the idea of the connection between all of you and your family. But you will always be members of a soul family, no matter how or where or when you experience that. So ultimately, everything is okay. Start relaxing into the flow of the way things unfold. Do not worry negatively so much about where they're going to wind up. They are infinite and indestructible spirits, just like you are, even though they may present themselves as physical children right now. So you have to see them for the spirits that they are and the journeys that they chose to experience for their own soul's growth. You have to see them as strong enough to handle anything, even though it may seem from time to time that their physical personalities may be a little lost or confused or uncertain. It's okay. It's part of the process of them allowing themselves to remember who they truly are. And as long as you are lovingly reminding them of that, especially by being a living example of who you are, then they'll take their cue from you when and where it's relevant for them to do so. So again, don't worry. Everything is okay.
Hello, Bashar and Company. My question is in regards to planet that has been dubbed K2-18b. I was just wondering if you'd be able to tell us anything about this planet. It's been speculated that it's a gas planet or that it's a ocean planet. It's also apparently the James Webb Space Telescope has found evidence of carbon dioxide and methane, which is indicative of life, at least as far as we know it. So I was just wondering if you could verify any of this or what you could tell us about this planet that would be of interest to us, and including maybe whether we will be visiting it anytime in my lifetime. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
You will not visit the planet in your lifetime physically. You can certainly visit it astrally. There is life there, is an aquatic form of life. Eventually you will realize that, but not for many years.
Hello, dear Bashar.
Good day.
My question, can you hear me?
Yes.
My question today is about the Tucson, Arizona portals. Some friends took me we hiked to a portal. It was a very large saguaro cactus, and we stood under it, and it had the most incredible loving feeling that I've ever felt. My friend channeled 2 andromedans while we were there that said that they were very happy that we were there and that they liked it when people came to see them. And I really want to go back there a lot.
Aww.
Then that same day we went on Mount Lemon, and we went to the Hoodoos, where there was a huge, she said it's a massive portal where lots of ships, different ships and races go in and out all the time. It was very chaotic and loud and very, very noisy. So my question to you is, do you agree that those are portals? I mean, what I felt was real.
Yes. The idea is most people don't understand that from a certain point of view, your world is like Swiss cheese. There's holes everywhere. There's comings and goings everywhere. There are portals, some of them stronger, some of them weaker, but there are portals everywhere connecting you to different dimensions that are often used by higher frequency beings to travel and to connect to those different dimensions, or to pass through from one dimension to another, maybe simply using your portal as a transition point. So your world is very much like full of holes.
Oh, that's wonderful. A quick question more, and my last one is that many years ago I had a past life regression or a soul retrieval or something, I don't remember, with a lady, and deep sleep, whatever, I was in a trance or whatever. She told me that my mother, after it was over, she told me that my mother was an earth angel. My mother's passed away in 2005. And that my mother preferred the life that she once had, where she was a woman called a nail. And she had long, dark hair, which my mother did not in real life. Yeah. And she told me that she would always be with me, and that if I ever needed her, I have this blanket. She explained this blanket that I still have, and that I could just get that blanket and put it on me, and she would be there, or I didn't even need to put the blanket on. Yeah. So is my mother always going to be an earth angel like that, hovering around the earth?
Well, you understand that the term angel doesn't mean she's actually literally from the angelic realm. It just means that she is of a vibration where she is willing to be of assistance, to be a guide, to assist and help wherever she is needed, and that she prefers that state of being. She prefers that representation because that to her feels more like her true self. It feels more like home. So, yes, of course. Now, beings on the other side have their own lives. They're not just hanging around waiting for you, but they will be there when you need them, because time for them is not what it is for you. And as soon as you truly need them, they can be there instantaneously. And they're always willing to do so because they are full of unconditional love for you.
Will she always be that kind of person on the other side, or will she eventually move on to do something else?
Everyone moves on, but that doesn't mean you still can't access that part of her, because that always exists as a part of her greater being. It just depends on what her focus is on her journey for herself, but that doesn't mean that those parts within them are not always available to those that need them, because that's what it means to be a greater being, is you are many things to many people, and each individual can call upon the aspect of the greater being that they are familiar with, that they may need assistance from.
Okay, thank you so much. I love you so much, and thank you for this interaction today.
You are welcome. Our unconditional love to you as well. Good day.
Good day. Aveo.
Aveo.
Hi, Bashar. This is a question to a dream I had the other day. I was in this room I often go to, and together was my brother. And in the room there was these white tulips that I was being told that if I wanted to have a higher and deeper connection to you, I could eat one of them or more. I ate 3 or 4 and thinking these white tulips are a little bit too unreal to be real. And I remember the taste of them and eating them. You were very present in the room the whole time. There was also a woman there observing the action of my brother and me, and she asked me why we did so. And I asked and explained to her. And then she said, if you really want to have this connection, I have the real one. And she gave me one flower. And I observed it. And the flower head of the white tulips, I could see all the pattern, like if I saw it under a microscope, holding it in my hands. Those white fluorescent colors going through the pattern of the flower. I ate it. It was very different taste. And I want to ask you, do you have any connection to the white tulips? And what would this dream mean to you? Thank you.
This is, in some sense, what we just talked about in terms of the symbol of a white flower, meaning that it is a permission slip symbolically presented in the form of a flower, energetically speaking, that allows you to open up to higher frequencies of consciousness, to open up to the light, the higher light. So it is a kind of energetic astral tool that is presented in a way that you understand as a life form, the flower, that allows, when you absorb it, things to open up within your consciousness as a flower opens to the light, but the different flavors represent opening up to different things, different energies, different frequencies, different realities. So that's basically what it represents as an astral experience that you had using those symbols that are representative of different forms of life on our planet and other planets and other dimensions, such as flowers, but they have that symbolic, energetic meaning as a permission slip. And therefore, ingesting them in the way that you did as an astral being allows your energy to open up to higher light, to experience more connections to more dimensions of reality.
I don't say good day to you all this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. So, what's new? Anything changed this fall? No? All right. We understand, as we have said, that this would be the fall of 2016 where everything would change, and I think perhaps many of you actually believe us now. The idea, however, is that, as we have said many times, the circumstances themselves aren't the issue. Your state of being always remains the issue. How you respond to what happens is far more important to how you experience your reality than what is actually happening. The idea is to always, as we have also said, make sure that you always allow yourself the opportunity to give the circumstances that do occur a positive and beneficial meaning for you, even if you recognize that there may be things within whatever happens that you don't necessarily prefer. The fact that it happens can still be used by you in a positive way to propel you forward in the way that you actually prefer to be propelled, in the direction you actually prefer to go. You can allow yourself the opportunity to begin to recognize how to look at recent circumstances in a positive way that will allow you to receive a benefit no matter what anyone else chooses to experience. Now, we understand that a lot of you, as you say in your language, are freaking out. But again, there is many, many things that can occur still. Many things are, as you say, up in the air. The greatest effect here is the effect that you call shock and disorientation. But this can be a positive thing if you use it that way. For you are literally now in a place where you are disoriented from your previous reality. You are floating in limbo, many of you, and this is an opportunity for you to create a new reality in a very accelerated way because you have been unlocked by the shock from your previous reality, from any degree of complacency, from any degree of assuming that things would simply move along as they always have. This can be used in a very powerful, transformative way. Look at it like this by analogy, if you are willing to do so. Let's say you are in a little boat, a kayak, whatever you wish to be in, and you're floating down a placid river, all nice and slow and peaceful. And then suddenly you hit some rapids. If you understand how to ride the rapids, you can actually navigate your way through them and get downstream much, much faster than otherwise you would have just floating along on the placid river. So this is an opportunity for you to experience a few rapids. And yes, there may be some bumps. But if you can understand how to stay in the state of being you prefer and allow yourself to ride those rapids with skill and vision, you will find that this is actually something, because of the unlocking, that has given you an opportunity to move very quickly, to accelerate very quickly in the direction of the reality you prefer. This is, at this nexus point right now, one of the major nexus points of the splitting into different parallel realities. One of the things you have been given the opportunity to see very clearly is that, in a sense, you are living in two different countries. Yes? Yes. Almost evenly divided. So the idea is, now that those who have, in your terms, quote unquote, won your election, they now feel capable of allowing themselves to be clear about who they are because they feel safe in doing so. And so this allows you the opportunity to see exactly who they are. And nothing is now hidden because they think they are free to express themselves no matter in what way may seem non-preferential to you. It gives you a better idea, a much clearer idea, because they are no longer hiding their ideas. They are no longer hiding their perspective, their points of view. No matter how vibrationally incompatible you may find them, they have now exposed themselves for who they are. And thus, this is part of what we have said about you're getting everything out on the table very, very transparently so that you can decide what kind of a world you actually prefer, and they can decide what kind of a world they actually prefer. I will tell you that there are still going to be a few surprises even for them, because the person that they have elected won't necessarily be always doing things the way they thought he would. So this is far from over for a lot of reasons. This is a process that's going to continue for quite some time, and you will see that it will fluctuate quite radically from time to time in a variety of different directions. But nevertheless, what you are really seeing, what you're actually experiencing for the first time more consciously, is literally two side-by-side realities that are reflective of actual parallel reality splitting. So, this is your opportunity to remain in a vibratory state, not be scared, not go negative, not in any way, shape, or form react, but respond. with that positive vibration so that you can ride that wave that is now happening and allow yourself to ride it, as we said, in balance, with skill, in the direction that it can propel you toward what you prefer much, much more quickly. This shock wave is literally that, a wave of shock. And it can propel you very rapidly in the direction that you prefer if you use it that way. So please, remain in the state of being that you prefer. You have many symbols that are inherent within this particular event that has happened now that are very similar to other events that have happened in terms of their shock ability. As has been pointed out already, you have a very similar energy to what you experienced on what you call 9/11, and it was repeated on 11/9. So you're getting the mirror image and coming out the other side. You have the anniversary at this time of a wall that was torn down and people talking about building another one. So again, you see the polarity and the paradox in these events if you know how to look at them. You know how to read the symbols. Know what kind of a permission slip this is for you. So do not despair. Do not give in and match the vibration of fear and negativity. See this as an opportunity that others may not see. And lead the way by staying in the state of being that you prefer so you can, by example, demonstrate to others how they can also ride this wave. There is no need for the negative reaction. You're only matching the frequency of what you fear. Allow yourself to see this in a very different way, for it is a very powerful, magical opportunity that has unlocked you from an old reality. It is also, in many ways, acted as a safety valve for many kinds of tensions that were existing on your planet. We understand that there may be many other countries on your world that are reacting also with fear to this particular kind of change. But at the same time, if you look around, the ones that were actually, in a sense, most dangerous to you have now actually relaxed their stance because they feel that the person now in charge of your country is someone they can actually speak with. And whether that becomes true or not, the idea is the tensions in the areas that need to be brought down have now gone down. So things have actually smoothed out in those areas because they are of like mind. Now, it may not necessarily be a mind that most of you prefer, but the very fact that they think they can communicate breaks the tension. Do you understand? So you have to look at the results on a big picture, a big scale, to understand all the ramifications of what's going on here. But you will not be able to see them in a positive way unless you yourself choose to be in a positive state first. Because remember, you cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of. So by staying in a positive state, you will get more opportunity to have inspirations and big picture perspectives that will allow you to see what we're telling you very clearly. That this was an opportunity to unlock from the status quo, because it is one of the most important things that needs to happen in a civilization that's about to have contact with extraterrestrial societies in an open way, is that you get unlocked from the status quo. You have to drift free of all you assumed was normal, of all you took for granted, of the society you thought you were living in, to actually drift over into another vibration of another reality that contains the potential for extra-dimensional contact. And now you are drifting in that limbo. You are unlocked from the status quo. You now are open to the idea that, well, anything can happen now. And that is exactly the state of being you need to be in to actually experience open contact with us and other extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional beings. So this is working in your favor. And it is, in that sense, a gift you have been given, even though it may not necessarily have been the intention of those that gave it to you. Because things work in mysterious ways, do they not? And you can always see the positive and the negative and choose which one you prefer. Now, I will share something else with you. That also is a precursor and leading up to the idea of change in many areas on your planet, but specifically we are still going to focus on your particular country. Many of you have known for quite some time that our ship is above the area you call Sedona, Arizona. Yes? Yes. And we have talked about the idea that we are connected to the vortex, a very powerful vortex in that area. And we have been pumping energy and vibrations into that vortex so that it can contain more potential for discovering yourself, more potential for awakening into who you truly are, more potential for extraterrestrial contact. Now, here's the trick. As you watched on your election night, your country maps, yes, and you had your blue states and your red states popping up and you're not ready to count yet. And as you started to see more and more and more red, yes, more blue states previously flipping to red, yes, and you saw a huge swath of red through the middle of your country, yes, and then you saw one little arm of red come over and go down to what? Arizona. Now there's a link to that vortex for all those that consider themselves to be in the red areas, and the vibration of our energy can now begin to slowly leak and follow that path up into the red areas and start to blossom in all the little vortices that exist in those areas, so that unbeknownst to a lot of people, they will suddenly be bathed in an energy they quite not figure out what's happening. To change their mind, to change their perspective, they will be given an opportunity to have more of that energy by creating a connective link for themselves in that way to that vortex without even knowing what they're doing. But we know what's going on, and we know how to take advantage of that and allow our energy to blossom in those areas. Doesn't mean someone has to pay attention to it, but it affords more opportunity for that energy because they're all considering themselves now to be united, and they will look at that pathway in their own way, but they will not see the underground pathway that we see for that energy to leak into all of those areas. So that will also help promote the idea of opening up minds, opening up and changing perspectives, and allowing them to reconsider and see more clearly the choices that they are making. And you may see some very surprising changes going on in that area over the years to come, between your year now and your year of 2020. With respect to the idea of contact, with respect to the idea of the disclosure of the presence of us and other extraterrestrials, not saying it's going to happen, so please do not misquote us. But there is a higher probability now of disclosure actually happening. Because what do you have in the position of power? Someone who simply does what they think is cool and makes them look good. Hey, what if I told everyone that the aliens are real? Wouldn't that make me stand out above everyone else? Narcissist that I am. So there is actually a potential for someone who is typically a loose cannon to let something slip that they think might actually make them look good, regardless of what others may actually prefer them to do or not do. So the idea is, even though they may think they can rely on their candidate, they're going to get a few surprises. Now, the idea is to also allow yourself to remember that the affiliations of that person are actually much broader than you may think. They have actually come from an opposite political party. Yes? You understand the background? And they are allowing cracks to happen through which other kinds of energies and interests will come in that, again, many may think will serve their agenda, but may be surprised to find will actually serve an opposite agenda in time. So this has actually allowed them, in their complacency, to open up cracks and not pay attention to certain things that are leaking in. Such as the fact, and what may seem to be extremely paradoxical to you, that the focus on the election was so intense that those opposed to legalizing marijuana didn't know what hit them. Weren't paying attention. And suddenly, that passed. And so you see the ideas working for you in a variety of ways, kind of like what you call your little magic trick of the cups and the balls. And where's the ball now? Where's the ball now? Where's the ball now? Oh, look over here. Oops, you missed it. So again, there are opportunities that are here for you that are peppered throughout this experience, this event. You just know how to look and how to find them by staying in the positive state. And with regard to the idea of disclosure, you will find that at this time, whether it's this individual or not, things have been accelerated in a different way, along a different path. Doesn't mean it was the same path as before, but it may actually allow for more probabilities and more opportunities to open up, more cracks to form in the status quo, so that things may crumble in such a way as to allow for new things to come in much more quickly than before, than the status quo itself may have actually allowed. We're not talking here about the idea of the integrity or lack thereof of any individual or who you may have preferred because they represent something that you are in alignment with. We're talking about the idea of exactly how your society needs to change to open up to new things that you all say you would like to happen, that you would prefer to have happen. And sometimes those things can only happen in the most unexpected ways, when things do create a shock wave within your consciousness, so that you're finally willing to truly let go of the status quo and realize that you really can't predict for yourselves a lot of the things that are going to be happening. All bets are off for you. And this is a sparkling opportunity, because now you can decide in this limbo state really where the ball on the wheel you're spinning will fall. But the idea of the analogy of roulette is that now there are two balls on the roulette wheel that represent the two different parallel realities. But the wheel is still spinning. They haven't really fallen yet. No matter how it may look, they haven't fallen yet. And when they do, you will see more and more acceleration in the split of the two realities, and more shifts and changes going on either side, until they finally settle out and you really start to feel the drifting apart of those two realities. And with regard to disclosure, you will find that as the pathways are laid out now, and as the probabilities have increased for alternate paths to such and to open contact, that sometime between now and certainly no later than the idea of 2025, some form of disclosure of our presence will occur. There is another demarcation point in your year of 2020. It might happen before, it might happen after. There are still many things in flux, many things in fluctuations that cannot be in any way, shape, or form predicted. All you need to know is that you have unleashed many more probabilities for you to take advantage of, to allow yourself to ride that wave in the direction of what you prefer, if you will just learn to look at it that way. Is it a deal? Yes. All right. Then we thank you for allowing us to share this perspective with you. There will be more to come. And in return for the gift that you are giving us, we ask now, how may we be of service to you? You may begin with your questions if you wish.